And now, it's BoomerLife, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is BoomerLife on CIL 650.
Well, hello. Welcome to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. I'm Sterling Fox with a couple of guests in studio from Neurokinetics Clinic. Philippe Silvestre is the founder and president of Neurokinetics, and Sonia Dale is the clinic manager at Neurokinetics Clinic, which, by the way, is in Vancouver in the Highcroft Medical Center at 3195 Granville Street. Dr. Philippe and Sonia, welcome back to Boomer Life.
Thank you. Good evening
It's
to
a
you.
pleasure to be here.
It's nice to have you with us. And let's start with the clinic itself. Dr. Philippe, it's your clinic. What does neurokinetics mean? What should we, when we hear the name neurokinetics, why should we remember it? Is it a medical word?
Well, it is, somehow. It is a blend, it is a combination of two words, neurophysiology, neuroscience, and kinetics in a sense of the science of movement.
Okay.
Which combined reflect very well brain physiology, which is the domain we apply our medical knowledge.
So it's about the brain and about motion.
Motion, dynamics, anything that is regulation, anything that is in motion and makes us, well, it boils down to the mystery of life.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Neurokinetics, it sounds like it would be a kind of a physiotherapy type operation, and it's much more than that, isn't it?
It is a good point. Initially, this word was constructed by myself in the late 90s. I was looking for a name for the new company to be when I moved to Vancouver.
Right.
And I came to that name, among others, as it reflects very well the mindset and the technicalities we are providing to patients to assess and treat them.
It also reflects your professional and academic background, doesn't it? You're a doctor. You're a flight surgeon in the French Air Force. You have all the medical training and schooling of any physician in Canada. And yet you've come to Canada out of your European background to try things different, to do things differently, and to incorporate into your work not only your Western medical education and background, but also other types of medicine and other approaches to medicine that typically aren't found elsewhere.
I must clarify that I didn't move to Canada to do new things. What I was doing already in France, I furthered it and enhanced it further.
Does the work that you're doing with your clients and patients from Europe, it carries on in Canada? You have patients not only from British Columbia and across Canada, you have patients from all over the world who come to Vancouver to Neurokinetics. Why? What do you do that's different that these people are quite prepared to come to Canada from Australia, if necessary, to receive the kind of treatment that you offer?
Yeah, we blend Western medicine, Oriental medicine, and brain neurophysiology, which is brain neuroscience. This is a blend of my own background and put together into a medical or biomedical expertise.
On the program today, on this particular episode, in previous programs, we've talked about migraines. You were with us last month. You and Sonia popped in, and it was a fascinating discussion. And today, we're going to talk about depression and anxiety. And these are fairly commonly held. Everybody knows what they are. You can't watch TV for more than 15 minutes without seeing a pill for either or both. So we think we know a lot about depression and anxiety. Which of the two, Dr. Philippe, is the more urgent problem or condition? Or are they one in the same?
They are part of the same spectrum. Severity is the difference. Anxiety will lead to depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now anxiety, you hear about athletes and performers getting anxious before they go on. The skaters or the skier standing at the top of the mountain just before he does the big Olympic run. The stomach is churning. You can't believe how nervous you are. That's anxiety. It's like the performer going out to give a concert, standing in the wings. The audience starts to applaud. The stomach churns. The nerves are all tingling. That's anxiety. But that's good anxiety, isn't it?
It is the it is the it correspond. Yes, it is. It corresponds to the definition of stress, according to Cellier, the neurophysiologist, which identified that stress was a good thing as it is a necessity for survival.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, a performer, for example, will tell you the day he or she doesn't get that nervous stomach before stepping out to give that performance is the day that they really start worrying. They kind of rely on those nerves to give them that extra boost of energy.
It is a healthy mechanism that will optimize performance. Yes.
So where, Dr. Philippe, does anxiety go sideways? Where's the fork in the road from the good anxiety that assists us positively to the anxiety that can be debilitating?
The word anxiety as pathology is concerned, which is an abnormal state that would prevent someone to accomplish normal performance or affect health even, will begin when this definition will begin when performance goes down and symptoms rise.
Okay. Sonia, when people call down to Neurokinetics Clinic and they have questions to ask, you are frequently, as clinic manager, one of the first people on the phones, you and your team. And when someone, do people identify when they call up? Listen, I've got this real problem. I have high anxiety issues. Do they know that they have anxiety disorders of some kind, or are they just feeling confused?
A lot of time it's confusion. A lot of time it's the symptoms is what they give me. They say they have an uneasiness. They have a fear. They have, they're worried about certain things. It's certain things that after identifying when they do come in for the assessment point, sitting with Dr. Philippe is when we can identify that, yes, it's the anxiety. That's what's to the extreme side of things as what they have.
Okay.
Yes.
So anxiety in and of itself is it a brain condition? Is it a medical condition, Dr. Philippe? How would you describe it? How would a doctor describe anxiety?
I wouldn't say it is a condition. I would say it is a state.
Okay.
It is different. There's a big difference between a state and a condition.
Okay.
Anxiety is never alone to start with. It always results for compounding parameters that will become so adverse to healthy physiology and healthy mental operations that performance will begin to decrease and physical and mental symptoms, including emotional, will begin to rise.
I'm curious to this question for both of you, because when we're talking about depression and anxiety, we're crossing a line. Last program, a month ago, we talked about migraines. And migraines, while hideous and problematic, don't carry any other social baggage other than, gee, that's too bad. Migraines are terrible. But when you talk about anxiety and depression, you're crossing a societal line. Now you're talking about a gray area that some people would call mental disorders or mental health. And that discourages, in fact, it scares a lot of people away from dealing with their issues. And Sonia, you talk about people being confused when they call the clinic.
Yes.
Is some of that confusion resulting from, I don't know, am I going crazy?
Yes.
What's the deal?
Yes, because anxiety and depression are both categorized in the mental health,
Categories,
concerns,
sure,
you
bet, yeah.
That. So, but if we sit back and just lay out the definition, it's anything related to emotional and functional challenges that an individual faces.
Right.
So, at that point, because it's categorized in the mental health section, therefore when people call in, they're confused. They don't want to be in that little box and say, what do I have? Why am I in this box?
Right.
How can I deal with this? Am I ever going to get better? So that's how we go ahead and start with the treatment. First level 1 treatment process when they sit with Dr. Philippe is when we can actually go ahead and list out all the traumatic things in their life and say, look, this is where it started from. Let's start from, point A to get to point Z to get you to that point.
Right.
Yes.
But I guess, Philippe, what I'm after here, though, is the reluctance of so many people to come forward when they're dealing with these issues that may be perceived by some of their peers as kind of borderline, oh boy, she's losing her marbles here, this is not good. And so instead of proactively, aggressively seeking treatment and help, we run and hide because we don't want to be discovered as being possibly one of that group,
Yes.
those people. Oh boy. So I guess talking people down from their fears is a big part of those initial consultations, right?
Absolutely. It is actually one of the things we explore. We consider anxiety and depression as rather the tail end of an evolution.
Oh.
Spiral down.
Right.
Rather than the top of the chain, which would cascade down another series of ripples, whether physical or mental or affective. So it is a different way of seeing things, which ties with the recent knowledge about brain physiology and behavioral physiology.
I'm just looking for root causes, as seems to be the popular thing to do these days. And when it comes to anxiety, suppose now, and we hear a lot more these days than we ever did, certainly when we were in school, Philippe, but we hear a lot more about bullying, for example. So if you as a child were badly bullied in your school days, and that developed into a sort of a low self-esteem and caused you to create defense mechanisms so that you could at least get through school and get out. Could that be the beginning of a person's eventual anxiety?
It is one way to get there. Absolutely. It is not the only way.
Oh, no, I know, but what I'm looking for is how does this begin?
It is a good example.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it ties with insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
It ties with fear. And fear is a complex phenomenon which will be very invasive on many layers in brain functionalities, affecting physical, affecting cognitive, which is perceptuality.
Yes.
So the ability to perceive things on many ways and to integrate those perceptions. Emotional side of things will be major. And it will affect also the intellectual capabilities and the executive capabilities.
So does one then develop this condition of anxiety, this because of external forces, Philippe, that you eventually you sort of retreat into this anxious personality, or is it sometimes self-induced? Must it always be external to cause anxiety, or can you do it all by yourself in your own head?
It can happen. Both actually are modalities to get into a very chronic anxious stage.
Okay, which is the more likely of the two? External forces?
Yes.
Okay.
Short answer would be yes.
Okay. And so, Sonia, when these people call up, and talk to me a little bit about, in addition to being confused exactly as to what is wrong with me, they also have you're not the first person they've called at Neurokinetics, and in many cases, they've been around and seen various psychologists or psychiatrists or other medical practitioners and received perhaps a prescription or two, but no understanding or no ability to understand, first of all, what the heck's wrong with them, and some sense of direction as to how it might get better.
Yes, and the major, I would say the major thing is when all of our patients or most of our patients related with this condition call in is fear.
Right.
Is worry. They call in and they say, I'm afraid, the fear of why are they feeling this? Why are they feeling the extra emotions connected with something? Why
Right.
now? Why not before when this certain situation occurred, for example, if something did happen in their life? So it's just getting them to that point and realizing that mainly someone's there to listen to them.
Right.
Giving us a call and say, come on in, we'll sit with you for 30 minutes. Let's hear what you have to say to us. Let's move you on to our assessment process. We will sit with you side by side, get you through the process, provide you the support, provide you the ears that you do need, and provide you the comfort and clarity to get to where you need to get to.
Right. Okay. So again, and I suppose the fears I wanted to ask you, are these fears of Internal, again, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm not on my game, and I'm really concerned that I'm starting to lose it here. Is that the kind of fear you're talking about? Or are they afraid that somebody at the office is going to find out and I'll lose my job?
It's a mix of both, I would say. For example, it could be something as someone has, slipped and fall. They fell down maybe in a mall, and they're afraid to go back to shop in a mall again because they feel like someone will see them again in case they fall again.
Mm-hmm.
The simple things like that build up, that they isolate themselves from, going out to do day-to-day activities.
Are most of the fears, Philippe, before we take the break, and we need to, but I must ask this part, are most of the fears, as Sonia has defined people coming to you full of fear, are most of the fears self-induced? You're afraid of something because you're afraid of it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's not really a thing except in your head.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Most commonly, it is not in the nature of things to build our own fears. They come from a history. That history may be forgotten,
right?
May be blacked out,
mm-hmm.
may be compensated for. There is always a history, and this is why we have the process we have to analyze and approach this type of condition, because there's a history behind every single anxiety.
One of the things that we've learned over the months that we've been doing BoomerLife is that our friends at Neurokinetics offer, above all, hope, an opportunity to be heard, to be listened to be assessed carefully, and to be put into a program of therapy and recovery that offers hope, and plenty of it. Lots more still ahead on this episode of Boomer Life with our guests from Neurokinetics in the Highcroft Medical Building on Granville Street in Vancouver, and on your computer at neurokinetics.com. Lots more still ahead. Back after this.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.